why don't you go to Harvard Business School? And I said, me, a poor kid from, poor in the sense, not financially poor, but I was born into an area in India. I could even spell Harvard at the time.
So going from $7 to $7 million, becoming a Silicon Valley tech millionaire. So Thomas, tell us, what was the number one secret to becoming a Silicon Valley tech millionaire?
Well, first of all, let me touch on the $7. This is not something for bragging, but what happened is the time I came was early 1970s. At that time, India government had a lot of trouble with foreign exchange. So they will allow us to take only $7 worth of money out of the country. So that's why the $7. It is true. I came here with $7. That's all I had. But luckily for me, I had a brother who moved to United States, and he was a doctor. And so he told me, don't worry about the money. You just go to college and study, and I will lend you the money. So I went to Rutgers and got my master's in aerospace. And then I was hired in IBM as an engineer. Within 6 months, I moved into sales and marketing. And from there, I was sent to, this was the period where there was a lot of stress, race relationship between blacks and the rest. And so I was sent to teach in a predominantly black college. So they were trying to create the awareness to the minorities so I can become a good manager in IBM. So I went to Hampton Institute, or now called Hampton University, and I taught there. I taught mathematics while I was still getting paid by IBM, my regular salary. And from there, the school felt that I did an amazing amount of contribution. However, they never paid me a dime. So they wanted to help me. So they told me, why don't you stay back and we will make you the president. One day you can become president of the school. And I was still very loyal to IBM, and I said I couldn't do that. So they wanted to help me, and they said, why don't you go to Harvard Business School? And I said, me, a poor kid from, poor in the sense, not financially poor, but I was born into an area in India. I could even spell Harvard at the time. So I come here, now you're telling me to go to Harvard Business School. I never thought about it. So he said, don't worry, I'm the president of the university. I'm a graduate of Harvard Medical School, and if I recommend you, they will take you. I said, okay, go ahead. And I went to Harvard Business School and got my MBA. And then came to Silicon Valley. Well, I actually started, once I got my MBA, I decided to do startup companies because I didn't want to work for a big company. So I went and joined a company called Infotron. And very soon after that, I became Senior VP of Sales and Marketing, took the company public. And that tells you the early part of my career.
That is so fascinating. I just love that you were only allowed to have $7 due to the government regulation. They're like, if you're going to leave us, you can only take $7 to America, right? But fortunately, you had a good brother who was willing to lend you some funds, tell you to go to school, and that led to an amazing career, right? With IBM, and then off to Hampton University, and then to Harvard Business School. Very fascinating how all of those, you look back and all of the connections, Tom, they all start to connect to where you're at now. And so let's pick up on the story though. So at that point, you're doing some sales, you're doing some teaching, mathematics, this very diverse background. When did it switch to really start to make the wealth to go from $7 to $7 million? What were the things that you were practicing besides education and working hard? What were some of the secrets that helped you to think big and make some great strides in your wealth?
Well, when I came into the country, you have to remember it's 1970s. The country was very united. They were very proud of capitalism, self-made people. So I had an amazingly great mentors who are like third generation, fourth generation Americans who accepted me into their network and helped me to go further. For example, they told me, you don't want to go and do your PhD. I was actually enrolled for PhD in aerospace. And they said, nah, you don't want to waste your youth in doing PhD. Why don't you go and get your master's, get out and work? So people were nudging along, and I was always willing to take risk and jump into it. I always looked at the future, the brightness, and I totally believed in the American saying about, if you can make it, you can make it here by hard work and intelligence and smartness. So a lot of my fellow Americans helped me.
That's beautiful.